Alright guys, it's time for episode number 7 of the SortaSeries, and today we are doing a squad builder on the Orlando Magic. Sorta. Right off the top, we have the owner of maybe the worst NBA contract in history, Gilbert Arenas, aka Agent Zero, aka the Hibachi. Gil's one of my favorite players ever. Did a lot of really dumb stuff, including bringing guns into the locker room. Was waived by the Orlando Magic in the 2011 season, but because he was amnestied and had the stretch provision applied to his contract, was owed another $62 million, which he received until late 2016, despite his last game coming in 2012 for the Memphis Grizzlies. So he got paid $60 million to not be in the NBA. Gilbert also had one of my favorite games in NBA history when earlier in the week Kobe Bryant made comments in the media about Gilbert Arenas' shot selection and said that he was an inefficient scorer, or basically just had some negative things to say about him. A couple days later, Washington visited the Staples Center, played against the Lakers. While being guarded by Kobe, Gilbert Arenas had 60 points, which is a career high, 8 rebounds, 8 assists on 17 of 32 shooting, so not amazing. Basically had a career game against Kobe, all the while alternating between saying shot selection and hibachi. Just a hilarious sort of like FU game to someone saying that he wasn't as good as people made him out to be. Gilbert also had back-to-back game winners where he put the shot up, turned around mid-shot, put his hands up. Basically the Nick Young celebration, except the shot went in and won a game. There are tons of stories about Gilbert Arenas from when he played in Arizona with Richard Jefferson and Channing Frye, so I definitely recommend checking out their podcasts or listening to their ESPN bits on Gilbert. The guy's like a complete psycho, but really interesting stories about Gil. Next, who's ready for Maggette? Corey Maggette here. Basically just like consistent 20-point a game scorer for like 7 years. Played for a bunch of teams, kind of bounced around, had his best years with the Clippers. Was actually drafted by the Sonics, traded with Dale Ellis to Orlando for Horace Grant, and then was later traded by Orlando to the Clippers. His last action in the NBA was to be waived by the San Antonio Spurs after having never actually played a game with them. Next up, we have one of our Hall of Famers, human highlight reel. We got Dominique Wilkins, who, after his tenure with Atlanta, he bounced around to 4 different NBA teams, but also played a season in Greece and a season in Italy. So kind of a weird end to a Hall of Fame career. At 39 years old, came back, played 27 games for Orlando, put up 5 points a game. Random fun fact about Dominique, I didn't know that he had a brother named Gerald Wilkins who played for 7 years for the Knicks and averaged 15 points a game throughout those 7 years. So little brother Wilkins was actually like a pretty serviceable NBA player. Dominique's nephew, Gerald Wilkins' son, Damian Wilkins, also played in the league for about 10 seasons. Next up, we have one of my favorite players of all time. We got Ben Wallace, aka Big Ben, aka Body. 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, 4-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA. Listed at 6'9", 240, but the guy was a definition of like prison jacked. Just massive dude. Obviously one of the most famous incidents in basketball history, the Malice at the Palace. The Orlando Magic are the only sort of team that Ben Wallace is going to show up on, so of course he has to be on this team. Alright, in our starting center we have Alias Squad member Anthony Jerome Webb. Spud Webb, I mean, I've got a reputation to uphold about using him as a center in this game now, so we're going to start him, but then we're going to bring in our bench center pretty quick. Alright, our backup point guard, we have Reggie Theus, 6'7" point guard, usually only reason a lot of people in 2K know his name. Pretty good player when he was on the Magic. He was 32 years old at the time, averaged 19 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. So probably one of our best like sort of players on this team. Had like a 14-year basketball career. Also ended up playing in Italy and Greece. But yeah, we got Theus, 2-time All-Star. Alright, our backup shooting guard, we have Larry Hughes. Pretty good player for a lot of his career. At one point averaged 22 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals a game. He's won all-defensive nod when he also led the league in steals. Never made an All-Star team, but was like one of those fringe All-Star players that when he went to Cleveland to play with a young LeBron, it was like a pretty good pairing. Larry Hughes ended up playing for 8 teams over 13 years. Players seemed to like him, but just could never stay in one spot for very long. Our backup 3, we have the Ninja Turtle, Al Harrington. His Twitter handle is CheddahCheese7. Not relevant to the gameplay at all, I just thought that was awesome. And yeah, another guy that bounced around the league for a long time. Had his peaks and valleys, but mostly averaged like, 15 to 18 points a game for most of his career. Tailed off pretty bad at the end. Ended up playing 10 games for Orlando in 2013 and averaged 5 points a game. Backups power forward, we have Shawn Kemp, one of my favorite players to watch ever. I'm using his pink diamond because if you had seen him play in Orlando, you'd know that using the opal is just not fair. He was so bad in Orlando. He was so out of shape by the time he reached Orlando that to have him going in and dunking on people would just be blasphemous. Shawn Kemp, of course, during his prime with Seattle, roughly like an 18 point, 10 rebound a game kind of guy. Could do a little bit of everything, honestly. Was like a serviceable shooter. Didn't take a lot of threes in his career, but could definitely hit. And if you ever get a chance to watch some of the 96 finals, there's a couple games where he looks like the best player on the floor. Freak athlete, the Rain Man, exciting player to have. All right, and as our backup center, who we're probably just going to switch real quick to our starter, we have Patrick Ewing, aka the Hoya Destroyer, 11-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA, 1986 Rookie of the Year. Ewing was a beast. There's a lot of theories about, was his team better without him? 21-10 guy, Knicks legend, one of, if not the best players ever in Knicks history. 7-footer who was like extremely fast, terrifying rim protector. During his tenure with the Knicks, put up 2.7 blocks a game, which is pretty crazy. Finished out his career with 2 weird stints out of New York, which we'll get to in a little bit later video. Former first overall pick, Patrick Ewing. Our 11th man, we have the 5'5" Earl Boykins. I don't know why, but I really like Earl Boykins. He played on 10 NBA teams, the least of which time was spent with Orlando. He played 8 minutes for Orlando in 2000, actually. So only at 23 years old, and he played until he was 35. He signed with Orlando as a free agent November 15th and was later waived December 20th. So he will be our least tenured player on this list. 12th man, we have Rockets enforcer Vernon Maxwell. Definitely put up some shots, but was known as like a gritty, tough, kind of like a Tony Allen before Tony Allen type player. Won 2 championships with the Rockets in between the Bulls 3-peats with Michael Jordan. It was just like a fun, gritty player. And as our 13th man, we have the last active player drafted by the Supersonics as the 24th overall pick in 2008. Never actually had a chance to play as a Sonic. Probably because he played in Spain in 2009 and then came over in the 2010 season. Also because the Seattle Supersonics didn't exist anymore. So he and Russell Westbrook were both drafted in the same draft by the Sonics, neither of which ever played for the Sonics. Little piece of Seattle history. All right, so here are the Sorta Magic. Looks like it's actually going to be a pretty decent team. It's pretty deep. We only have 1 player below a pink diamond. I mean, this card counts as a bronze, but you know what? Like, this might compete with the New York Knicks as our best sorta team. With that being said, let's get into a game. All right, so we're going to be going up against a very, very, very good team here. Yeah, not much else to say. This is probably going to be a tough game, but we'll see what happens. Spudweb wins the tip. Spudweb gets destroyed. That's fine. Oh, we tried. Oh, Spudweb gets blocked by the underside of the rim. Oh no, we have to try and get him to score. Spudweb is on the board. There we go. Now we'll get Patrick. It's a good foul. Dominique Wilkins. Ever since they upgraded him to give him a range extender, he's actually been like a usable card. Dominique tying the game up. Patrick Ewing with the buzzer beater. Big lob for Corey Maggette. Take the lead with Gil. Ben Wallace banging corner threes, what he's known for. Patrick Ewing banging it. Patrick Ewing going in for the 2. We get Sean? Oh, we can't. The lob gets broken up by Zion. The Ninja Turtle posterizes Zion.